Hey there, welcome to Storytime with Ellie podcast. And our guest today originally came to me to be on the podcast to talk about dating in the 50s, in your 50s. So that's a great conversation, a great topic, and one that's covered quite frequently. But as I did a quick interview, I found he's also a former bounty hunter. Uh, he also opera trained vocalist, which I thought was amazing. I don't think I ever met a real opera trained vocalist. And he died 11 times. That's something we shouldn't laugh at. He's got probably 15 lives, and he's a roller coaster enthusiast. Let's welcome David. David, welcome to Storytime with Ellie podcast. Come on in.
Oh, thank you, Ellie. That's a perfect summary.
It was like, wait a minute, because you're trying to remember stuff and sit around. So, well, welcome to Storytime with Ellie podcast, and thank you, because we do love that topic about the data, and that's kind of something that I always seem to drift into that because we're all out there dating, and I also do coaching, relationship and divorce coaching, and so you meet, and there's a lot of interesting stories. So, tell us a little bit about yours, if you don't mind. Let's start out with
Well, I mean,
you lead the way. Start the story.
oh no, I mean, I just when you and I had originally spoke, I'm in the out in the field and dating and a lot of challenges, a lot of challenges. I mean, both from within and within just the dating pool itself.
Right.
Um, you know, uh, you try to overcome all of those idealist views that you had as a kid. I'm only getting married one time and
Mm,
I'm going to be with that person for the rest of my life. And then you start living your life, and next thing you know, you're three divorces deep, and trying to figure out what happened. And you find yourself at in your 50s, and you find out that there's a lot of people that are dealing with the same issues.
right.
And
In other words, you're not in the boat alone, right? You're not in
right,
that boat
right.
alone. So which is it's encouraging to know that, but on the same token, you're like, shit. Or you're like, what? And it's like, wow, what do we do to fix it? And I think many of us are in that type of like, okay, so this is what it is. What can we do to possibly, I mean, we may not be able to fix it all together, but to make it so it's a little bit easier on everyone. And I'm going to ask, what's your, take on that? What do you think would help make it better in your words? Like, what would you like to see different in dating?
I think if I think accountability,
Mhm.
holding yourself accountable for a lot of things in the past, and then overcoming those, not holding yourself and beating yourself up, and dragging that baggage with you.
Mm.
It's listen, when we're in our 50s and we've been through relationships, whether it's divorce, whether it's being a widow or a widower,
Mhm.
um, we have a level of, and I, I'm going to use the word damage, even though that might be a bit
We
melodramatic.
say broken. Yeah, we've used broken,
Bro,
damaged. Yeah.
uh, we all carry a bit of that, but it only becomes tragic when we don't reflect and look back and say, hey, listen, maybe this happened because of this, something I did, something I said, something I didn't do,
Mhm.
something I didn't say, and be able to learn from that and move forward. Um, my friend tell me that and excellent at self-reflection. Um, you know, my second marriage I could have saved. Um, that was entirely me. And my third marriage, I probably could have saved that had I not, um, been so stringent with
Okay.
regards to sticking to a belief that really not even not, it was outdated, but it was just, I mean, it wasn't anything horrible. It's just something that could have, we could have worked through, and I chose not to. Um, I took it far too personal and got, um, and just, distanced myself.
Mm.
And so I had to reflect on those things. Is that who I am as a person? When things get really, really challenging, do I just, step away and, and abandon everything? Um, I mean, I didn't think that's who I was, but in those relationships, yeah, I mean, I have to wear those shoes. I mean,
So,
that was on me.
so it's a good thing from what I'm hearing. It sounds like you realized what you did, right? You realized what you did, and now you fixed it. I think you're on the way to being fixed, right? Working, whatever you want.
Yeah.
When you recognize what was done, well, that's with anything. When you recognize what's being done or what was done and what you did, you can then look at things in a different light and try to fix those things. So now when you do meet, right, maybe that right person, you won't do these things that you felt like you did do, but at least you owned it. You owned it. It sounds like you're owning it. It's when you don't and you constantly talk about the other person, like, oh, well, they came in with this and they came in with that. We have to take accountability to what we bring in as well. And many of us, we have baggage. So I think it's important, just from what you're telling me, that you saw something and now you're realizing that, maybe you know, whatever you want to say, broke, or you're on the way to being fixed. If you're not fixed already, I think you are, because you're here, and you're discussing this.
Right.
So it sounds like,
I
this
mean,
is a good thing. This is a good thing. Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean, and it takes two to tango.
Hmm.
It's there were we can't, control what somebody does. We can only control our response and
Hmm.
how we react to it. And I mean, I reacted poorly.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not a reflection of who I am as a person. It's just a reflection of, who I was in that moment.
Right.
Um,
Right. You're
I
right.
mean,
It
there was no,
takes two. It takes two.
yeah, I mean, there was no violence, there was no cheating. There was just, um, a couple of things that, you know, we just didn't see eye to eye on. Um, and instead of getting frustrated and saying, you know what, I'm not doing this. Um, I don't like what you did. Let's just call it quits.
Do you think there's
And
quitting too much? Do you think people quit too much? They don't look to put in the time to fix it, or we're just so tired and we just don't want to be bothered? I mean,
I me personally, um, I'm very straightforward. I'm very direct. I'm not somebody that you can throw hints at. I mean, I might notice the hint, but more than likely, I'm not going to acknowledge it because we're grown-ups, talk.
right. I
Uh,
get that. Yeah.
Um, and I get frustrated in situations where we've had conversations and really it comes down to communication. Um, if you're with somebody who is not direct, and you are very direct,
Hmm.
obviously you're going to butt heads.
Yeah. Well, then
Um, and no, I'm sorry.
no, no. Well, I always say too, it's best that it happens. I don't know how much you have invested in these people, but it kind of, if you can figure this out, and I'm always rounding that off to, like, the fourth or fifth date, you saved yourself some time, because you see a lot of
Right.
red flags and we choose not to see them because you're so in the hope of what we
There's
want in
that.
the relationship that we're making excuses for the other things that's coming in. Right. I think that happens with a
Yeah.
lot of people. So,
I, I, I I think it makes us red flag magnets.
yeah, yeah. Well, and a lot of people don't want to relook at them because I don't like to use that word desperate, but they're so looking at the good quality. It could be financial. It could be anything. It could be just that they look like they walk out of a magazine. It could be anything that you're looking at saying, oh my God, this is like so perfect. But you're ignoring what you got to be with and what you got to, and eventually it eats at you and you just can't deal with it. And you end up saying, okay, enough's enough. You got to look at the whole
Right.
picture. And I think too, at the ages, everyone's at, you got to take things lighter. Uh, you can't look at things like it's a
Oh
life
yeah.
sentence either. like, oh my God, I'm gonna go out with this guy or this girl, and this is it. We're gonna be, oh, and I don't feel, you gotta let things go naturally. Don't you find there's a little unnatural about dating at an older age? People are either
That-
rushing, they're either
That's
rushing to the finish line, they don't know how to date. Nobody, I'm
yeah,
finding people don't know how to date. And I mean date, I mean date. I don't mean, they nest. People will come in and they start nesting like,
yep.
am I right? Like they're your
No,
spouse.
you're absolutely right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and part of it is that, a lot of us are, I mean, people are in the dating pool now that, were married for 20 or 30 years.
Mhm.
They've forgotten how to date.
Yeah.
And
We need to get that book
the
out, How to Date. It's
yeah.
gonna be my next book. I'm not even kidding. No, because we did, a lot of people did
Can I write the
forget.
forward?
Huh?
Can I
What?
write the forward?
Yes, yes, I'm gonna have other people in there, yes, to come up in. But it's true, everybody's got their perception, what they perceive it's like, but yet we're all talking about the same thing. So it's almost like, well, how can we kind of fix it a little, right? And a lot of it's, as we all say, you date with a purpose. You go on a date, you know
Uh,
why you're going on this date, date with the purpose. People sometimes act like children or ownership, like I was saying before, they nest. You go on one date, they're already like, it's like, I'm not sure if I even like you. It's like,
right. But on the other end of it, then there's some people put an investment, I mean, like right in the very beginning.
mhm.
Um, I've
I hope you're
I've
close
gone
enough to the
on
mic. I'm
many
sorry, David.
dates.
Are you close enough to your mic?
Oh, is that
Your
better?
phone.
Should I talk louder?
Yeah, I'm hoping that yeah,
Okay, I'm
because we're
sorry.
recording, I'm hoping you come out where we could hear you. We could
Um,
use my mouth. Like she did her own podcast by herself. Now she's even answering herself. But anyway, go ahead.
um, I've gone on a lot of dates where you're in your first date, and I've always made it very clear I'm not in this to hook up. I make sure that that's understood. When we're making the first date, I've made sure that's understood. And then you talk with someone for a couple of hours and like, hey, let's go back to your place or let's go back to my place. And I've very politely declined. And then I start seeing the major red flag, which is somebody who doesn't have a lot of self-worth, and the, oh, what, I'm not pretty enough for you, or I'm not good enough for you. And the one that said that to me, I said, look, man, I said, after meeting me for 2 hours, we've had a couple of conversations on the phone. I mean, I'm not Brad Pitt, but and I'm not that freaking charming. Why do you want to sleep with me after we've just sat and had coffee for 2 hours?
I'm
It
so
just
sorry. I'm
means
sitting
to
here with
me
a
that it's
smile on my
played out.
face. I'm sitting here, David, with a
And
smile on my
it's
face, thinking to myself, I hear this all the time with the women, and I have been hearing it more with the men as well. But it's interesting to hear you say this because this is what we say. Women, a lot of women are going through, and that's where we said come out with date with a purpose, and this is what needs to be bought. What you're saying, what I'm saying, I have the same stories in the beginning, but even when you talk about it in the beginning, it's like, didn't I just say that to you in the beginning? It's like they're
well,
not,
it's like they don't believe what you're saying.
it's yeah. No, I agree.
But
Yeah.
you said it's not desperation, but in some cases it is. I mean,
Mhm.
somebody who is
I didn't want to use the
who
word, but yeah,
is
it
hurt.
is.
Yeah, I mean, someone who's hurt from the husband
Validation too,
cheating on them,
validation.
or
Yeah,
oh yeah.
validation
So
to
I
make
mean,
it look like, oh, I'm pretty or I'm this or I'm that. You don't need
yep,
that. You don't need that. Just be happy with yourself, find yourself. A lot of those people are looking for themselves in you, and I
yep.
think that's another problem. Like find yourself, figure yourself out. Wow. Okay, continue. I'm sorry. Just when you said that, I was like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. So
So
then it weeds them out. Because you look at it that way, that if you're looking for a serious relationship and you put it out there that you are, and now you're meeting, these women that are taking it the other way. I think
right,
everyone needs to slow their roll. And that's what I think they
they
forgot what
do.
they did when they were younger. I'm not saying you were younger, but
Well, but it's
they
not even that. I feel like they feel like they've missed out on an entire you know experience in the bedroom because they've been with the same person for the last 20 years, and then that person's straight, or that person something happened, and they feel like they have to make up for lost time. I mean, I'm not saying that's the mindset. I'm just saying that's how it comes
Hmm.
across. It's like, listen, you don't have to, sleep with every guy you go out on a date with, just, because you missed out for the last 30 years because you were being a housewife and a mom, or a mom with a career, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't make up that time. It was time well spent. Love it for
Right.
what it was.
Yeah.
And
One thing
and
shouldn't have anything to do with the other, from what you're saying.
exactly,
Right. I get it. They're
exactly.
using, it shouldn't be about sex. It should be about two people being adults, going on your date, and you see what goes. Why they have to throw that into the mix immediately? Again, there we go again. It's kind of that
Right.
that desperality, wanting to be wanted, wanting to be accepted, which you don't need to sleep with people to be accepted. You just need to be strong about and feel good about yourself. But I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying about that. I've seen it, I've heard it. But yeah. So where are you
I mean,
going from here now? We talked about the women that where do you meet them? Let's do that. Where do you meet them?
I've tried the dating sites.
Okay.
Um, there's I'm like I said, I'm pretty direct. My dating site has my picture. It's a recent picture. You meet somebody after talking for a little bit,
Hmm.
and you find out this was a picture of them 25 years ago.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's like, wow, you look really young for your age. Oh yeah, yeah, I hear that all the time. And they show up, and it doesn't even look like the same person. It doesn't
Yeah.
even look like their mom. I mean,
Yeah.
and then if you have to, start out on, on a relationship, or an attempt at a relationship, you can't start out with a lie. I mean, that's deception.
Yeah. No, I
And
wouldn't do it. I thought about using my daughter's picture. When I went
that's
on.
liar.
She sent me
Um,
pictures of her. She's in college. She sent me all these pictures. I'm like, God, they're beautiful. She's so pretty. Maybe she put that on my dates. Half the time you don't meet them anyway because they're too busy running.
it's,
No, we get a lot of that too. You get a lot of talkers. I call them tire kickers.
that's well, yeah. I mean,
But yeah, the
so I mean,
pictures are totally.
there's not a lot of honesty.
Mm-mm.
Um, and now with filters and everything, it's so hard to tell. Um,
Meet up. You
I
got to
mean,
meet up right away.
I hate to sound like that broken record, but
Oh, we do.
who,
Because that's what we're
well, yeah,
doing. Yeah.
but post who you are, be
Huh?
who you are. Don't create somebody. If you're claiming that you want to be in a long-term relationship, don't create, some alter ego from, Sex in the City that you think is gonna, get you
Right.
laid. I mean, it's just, we're too old for games. It's just, it's stupid. Um, and it gets frustrating when you're on, your fourth first date, and you're starting to see a pattern. So I got off of all of the dating
You said
sites.
fourth first date. Did you say
Well,
fourth
I mean,
first?
like with four, like with four different, women.
Oh, four different
Uh,
women. I got you.
yeah,
I was
four,
going to say, because I
four
noticed
different.
after the
I
fourth or
should
fifth
say,
is when the whole
yeah.
thing is like collapsed. By the third or
No, I mean,
fourth, you're thinking, by the fifth, you can't even, like, you don't even answer the phone. Okay.
yeah, but on the first date, when it's already, you're already dealing with one deception,
Mm,
where does it go from there? Who's the real
mm.
person that you've been talking to? And yeah, and I don't know. And this is part of me that, that I feel like I still have to continue to work on. And that, if you're going to lie to me out of the gate, I really don't want to be around you to find out what other things you're lying
Well,
about.
honestly,
I have,
I hate to say lie, but you're right. I look at it that, and I'm sure you're going to agree, you need to show yourself in that picture if you're going to meet the people, because if you're on a dating site to meet up, it's almost like weird. Don't you think you're eventually going to see them? Isn't that
it's
the intent?
extremely weird.
That's the
It's
intent. So
very,
what the hell are you doing? Why would you put pictures? I listen. We have it with men too. I tell the same story over and over again. A couple years back just moved to Florida. I said, okay, I don't know anybody. Don't know nobody. I went on a date site, met this doctor, bodybuilder. Bada 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 bada. I got to the restaurant and walked. I told the story, I think, on every podcast. I walked past him. I didn't even recognize him. Not only did he shrink about 3 inches, he was probably about 40 inches whiter than he said he was, and he had no hair. And he had to stop me and go, oh my God, I didn't even recognize you. What is
But
wrong?
see, but see, you were being upfront and honest. You were being yourself. You were being yourself in your, in your pictures. I mean, so yeah, I
No,
mean,
you, you got to be yourself. You're going to meet you. If you're on there for the right reasons, they're going to meet you. That's why I'm just going to say my suggestion would be don't prolong the conversation. If you meet a woman
right.
and she's talking to you and you say, well, as soon as you get the conversation, like it's fishing, right? You got them on the hook,
Hmm.
meet them and try not to go too far out of your range. I try to say, let's keep it within 15 to 20 miles. You'll get men,
Hmm.
to me, they'll say, oh, what makes you think you could fall in love with somebody? What do you have, a mile range to fall in love with somebody? I said, well, I'm being realistic because I'm not coming to see you. And you're going to
Right.
have to come here. And do you really want to drive 40, 50, 60, 70 miles? No, I don't want you to. And I don't want you. Yeah, it is. It does make a difference. Am I right? A lot of people,
Oh yeah,
and you're from my
there's a lot of
area,
things that play into it.
and you're from
Yeah,
my
I mean,
area too. You're around Orlando area, correct?
yeah, yep.
So I notice we get a lot of Jacksonville. We get a lot of Tampa,
Le
right? Cocoa Beach.
Lakeland,
Yeah,
Tampa. I mean, Ocala.
yeah. So it's kind
Um,
of strange. So where's all the people in Orlando? So I think there's something to that.
apparently they're hooking up and they're all happy. So
Well, I don't know. I think they're almost being a Lakeland.
it is it is the happiest place on earth. You keep
I
forgetting that,
know. I know. You just see so many different that you want it to be happy. It would be nice if you're really looking for somebody to find that. But
right?
if that's, just the story. So let's
It's
go
just bad short-term planning on people that are not using their actual photos.
on.
Um, I mean, it's very short-sighted, and um, at some point you have to meet them.
Well, you do it
If you're
sooner.
going to
Sooner is better
engage
than
with them,
later.
I started learning that towards the end.
Hmm.
Um, for me, you know, I mean, I'm what's the term? Sapiosexual. Um, I
What
talk
was
with
that?
somebody long enough. It's being attracted to intelligence.
Okay.
Um,
Well, you're not going to find that in a
and
photo.
well, no, but that's why, that's
Yeah.
why I'll
Yeah.
have a few conversations and to find out. And, I'm not, I don't think I'm, Sheldon from, Big Bang Theory. I'm not throwing, theoretical physics
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
at people, but, I mean, the ability to, to communicate ranks really high on my list.
Mm.
And to be able to talk with somebody and have an intelligent conversation is a big thing for me. Of the handful of dates that I've actually been on, there were another 20 or 30 that I didn't get past like the second phone call.
Mm.
Um, because it just we weren't on the same wavelength.
Okay.
Um, and so those, that made those, even more disappointing when I realized that this is not the person that, you know, in the pictures. And some of those, we texted pictures back and forth. Nothing weird, no crazy
Hmm.
nude stuff, but still sending pictures, from 20 years ago.
Hmm.
And like they were just taken right then and there. So I mean, that level of deception, um, I don't know. I mean, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
I
All right. So we know it's wrong. There's a lot of lying. There's a lot of deception. Nobody knows how to date. Well, not, I don't want to say nobody. Let's just say there's a majority that don't. Uh,
right.
do you think in person, we're all going to say yes, is much better for meetup, right? So now it gets to, okay, well, it is much better for meetup, but where? It's
Right.
where do you have any suggestions like where you would go or where do you think you would go?
I
Church?
came
I mean,
up
I don't
with
know.
with
Where?
oh my gosh. No, I feel like I came up with the most brilliant first date idea ever, and it has worked. I thought it through, and I thought, what's a good way to really see what your compatibility is with somebody, and it should be something that involves teamwork. Um, a little tiny minor, bit of stress and communication.
So
And
boot camp, you're saying dating boot camp.
um, well, yes, but in a fun
Yes.
atmosphere, but escape rooms.
I know what?
An escape room,
An escape room.
a two-person escape room.
Okay.
And it, it's it, I've done it twice. Both times we both learned that we did not communicate well.
Okay.
Um, and it did not operate very well as a team. Um, I went in with, I'm only saying I went in because I don't know what their thoughts were, other than we just really weren't that compatible.
Okay.
But
Well, it's an in
I
person,
went in,
so it's the in person meeting again,
yeah,
right?
yep,
I just don't
yep.
want to lose you again. I see
And
your
even though
camera's kind of
neither
going
of
in
the,
and out. I don't want to lose you.
oh no, I did that. Sorry.
Oh, I was like,
um,
come on back.
you know,
Let's recording.
I,
We don't want to
I
lose
got
again. Funny. Okay, so all right,
um,
I like that idea actually. I think it's a great idea. It's much like meet up, but it's more like a boot camp. I mean, that's what we need. We just created something. We need a dating boot camp where two people you're in a room together. I think there was a show actually like that. Someone said to me, very similar to a show.
isn't that kind of speed dating?
But the what? They did what?
Isn't that kind of speed dating?
Oh, I never tried that. Oh, actually, we have an event
I
going on here
do.
in Winter Garden, and I believe it's April 17th at Pilar's. And it is a date-in event, singles. So you might want to look into that at Pilar's, being that you are in
Oh,
the Orlando area. And I believe it's the 17th. If not, I can always send you that link. I can always email you that when that is. I may even be doing a podcast there, a quick meetup with
oh,
everybody. We're not sure yet. We haven't figured that one out. Go on to the next thing. All right, so here we are. Let's move on to you because I don't want to lose you again. I know you got things going on. So we come up with basically dating would be great if you can meet in person, talk it out, hash it out, and really see if you have something good conversation. I think we need to go to questionnaire or boot camp. But I
yeah.
want you to tell me a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit about you because I don't want to lose you again. A little bit about the your intro there when you said to me that you were a former bounty hunter. What is that?
Yeah.
Like, let's do a twist on that. What's a bounty hunter? What kind of bounty hunter?
Essentially, when somebody's arrested and they're released on bail, um,
Mhm.
they have a court date. If they don't show up for the court date, they send bondsmen or bounty hunters after them
I wasn't sure if you're a bounty
to
hunter for
force
dating,
the.
but go ahead.
It's no, 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 no.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay, real people that got locked up.
yes, yes, and bring them before, um, the judge. You take them back to jail so that they can uh, have their day in court. I specialized mostly in domestic violence.
Okay.
I just have this thing about, tough guys hitting women and,
Mm.
showing them that there's other alternatives. And uh, uh, I'm just going to leave it at that. A
I
lot
got
of
you.
coercion involved.
Right.
So,
Wow. Okay.
um,
Yep, it's fine. We move on. Okay. You said, all right, here's the where it got me. The opera singer. How do you,
yeah.
how do you do that? I don't know. I mean, who was an opera
Well,
singer or a famous
I,
one? It's
I'm,
gonna be you.
well, I mean, Pavarotti is
Oh,
Luciano Pavarotti was kind of um, my model with
okay.
regards to, because I'm a high tenor as well.
Mhm.
But I didn't do it to go into opera. I did it to save my voice. I've been a lead singer most of my life. I started out as a bass player. Um,
A
Gene Simmons
musician.
was
Yeah, a
a
musician.
little
Yeah,
kid. Yeah,
yep.
was
Okay, cool.
Gene Simmons was my idol. I discovered around 13 or 14 that I did not have the ability to play and sing at the same time, much less equipment for a singer, much more girls. So that transition, in your teens,
Yeah, I got you.
was a big one. But I started to follow the band Queensryche, and
That's what I was thinking when you said that.
people who know me know that I will always say Jeff Tate is God. And when I found out he was opera trained, I spent 3 years taking lessons with an opera teacher who it it concluded because he told me to stop with the rock and roll crap and audition for the New York Metropolitan Opera as a high
Wow, big,
tenor,
big
or
time.
he was going to stop. He was going to stop training me. So that was the last time I saw him, because I'd been, dealing with record labels and, thought I was going to make it big, and it just didn't happen. It happened for a
Do you
lot of my
sing
friends, but
now?
it
Do
didn't
you sing
happen.
any bands now or no?
I I stopped last year,
Why?
because the musicians here in Orlando, while incredibly talented, are frustratingly lazy.
They're what?
They will not learn more than they're lazy.
Oh,
They all
well,
play the same 50 songs, and I won't play Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard. I can't do it anymore, all summer long, American Girl. I mean, I can't do those anymore.
oh,
I'd rather take a
well,
pick.
probably people like that.
They do, but they also
Yeah.
like other songs by Def Leppard and other songs by
Oh, yeah,
Tom
yeah.
Petty.
I know a
And
gentleman that's in a band who plays a lot of that hard rock stuff. You should team up with him.
well, I
He,
mean, it's
he's in a band that
I want to
they play
do.
all that hard rock. Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Cool.
it's a matter of song selection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, Def Leppard had 30 other hits. Why has
Mm-hmm.
everyone got to play Pour Some Sugar on Me? It's not even, it's not
I
even
know what you're saying. Maybe it's easier.
a
They
good
don't want to
song.
learn nothing new. They don't want to learn nothing new. There you
Well,
go.
they can jump. They can jump
Change
from band to band to
times.
band, but
Yeah.
you jump from venue to venue to venue on a Friday or a Saturday night, and you're going to hear American Girl 3 times. You're going to hear, it's just,
I know what
it's
you're saying.
ridiculous,
I
and
got
it's
you.
not even fun.
That's like when you go to a wedding,
Um,
all you hear is celebration. Remember, for a long time, every wedding, it was like
oh
every
God,
party. And it's raining men, and these were some of the songs like back in like the 90s. So, I mean, even though they were older songs, that's always been, I went to a lot of weddings back then. Somehow, the last 10,
right?
15 years are very far and few in between. I go to a lot of divorce parties now. Once you get to 40, everything turned into divorce parties. But
I've
yeah.
gone to more funerals than weddings in the last year.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. I'm just telling you, go to weddings, divorce parties, and now funerals. Well, they're starting to celebrate those too.
True.
Speaking of dying, you said you died 11 times. Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Don't die now. Okay, oh
I
my
honestly
God.
don't
I
remember.
thought that's what happened to you when the camera cut out. I said, don't, David, don't
No,
leave.
it, no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. The first six I don't really remember. Um, I was, basically, told, uh, what was it, 3 times as a kid drowning.
Okay.
So that's the quality of parenting. Um, Once I fell off of a pew at church that I was climbing and cracked my skull open, and uh, they told my mom that I was dead, and they were able to revive me. The last five are very, very clear. I don't really like to relive them, and
Okay. No, we don't have. I said,
but
wow. Interesting. So,
yeah, and then there's probably the 2 dozen other times where I should have died and just couldn't or
well,
wouldn't.
it's not time. You know why? You didn't meet your soulmate. I don't want your soulmate because you didn't meet the woman. You didn't meet your woman yet. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that must be it.
Oh, well, don't leave them, then you might die. No, oh my God, that's some crazy stuff, though. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
And you like roller coasters, anything? We got a few more minutes before we wrap this up. So let's just roller coasters, because we're going to put this on there. I'm going to put your number on there. And if there's any women that watch and are interested, they can call you. This is going to be the Dated Podcast Show. Yeah, good idea. Right? What
I
better
don't know
way?
if I can say
What
that.
better way to really know who you're meeting other than their interview?
That's yeah, that's true. They already know where they're going for the first date, so
Right.
get
And they
that
know who you
part out of
are.
the way.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So roller coasters, you live in Orlando. Is that why you came to Orlando? Was to ride roller coasters?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. And if Cedar Point was not so cold during the winter, I'd live up in Cedar Point. So,
Mm,
but yeah, I'm an annual pass holder for SeaWorld and Busch Gardens and
nice.
soon to be Universal. And
Okay.
so it's yeah, I mean that's my happy place.
Okay.
It,
Very cool. A
it's
lot of people. I meet a lot of people that they moved here for that reason. Where are you originally from?
I was born in Virginia,
Okay.
Virginia Beach, but I grew up in a little town outside of Allentown called Emmaus, Pennsylvania.
Where?
Emmaus. It's outside of Allentown,
You're
Pennsylvania,
saying
just north of
Emmaus. Do we
Philadelphia.
call that Damascus?
No, Emmaus.
Oh, Emmaus. Yeah, I'm actually originally
Yeah.
I'm from upstate New York, but we're like 20 minutes from we're half hour border to Pennsylvania. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, and my son went to school he went to Lehigh Valley. And that's
Okay.
all
Yeah.
I
Lehigh Valley
love it.
is where
Love
I
it.
grew up. Yeah.
Yep. When I lived in New York, I used to go visit him in college. And I used to go there and say to myself, oh my God, like if I had to move out of New York, I think I'd come here. I loved Lehigh.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It was a
Bethlehem,
great place to grow up.
beautiful area. And that's all I'm going to say
Yep.
because I'm, plugging for that. Anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye to David? Anything else you'd like to add to the
No, it's you know
call
dating
you
your
or
fit.
anything?
It's well, I mean, dating your 50s is like anything else.
Yeah.
You have to persevere. You have to. The entire pool isn't full of pee.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good people out there, but there's a lot of people that don't really know what they're doing. And I think at this stage in our lives, for whatever reason that we're single, I mean, we're looking for that connection.
Hmm.
Uh, that and maybe not everybody, but I mean, personally speaking, I want that connection. I want that final connection with somebody that we can spend the next 20 or 30 years having fun and having adventures and you know on agreed upon terms, because each of us is, each person's going to come into it with their own terms, their own ideas, their own wishes and desires, and um, being flexible enough to accommodate that, with somebody else. I mean, I think that's, we're all looking for that kind of closeness. So,
Mm.
I mean, I know people that have been married for, 30 or 40 years almost.
Well, it's work. It's
And
like a job. It's commitment. It's work. It's two people
yeah,
want the same thing and moving in the same direction. That's really what it is.
exactly.
And that's what happens.
Exactly.
One deviates, one don't want that. They get tired and they just break it apart and they just go different directions. And
Yeah.
it depends on what you want to do in life. And I think, a lot of people focus more on themselves and what they need. And I don't mean in a selfish way, in reality way. Because a lot of times people
Right.
think that they're this and they're that. No, I can do this. I don't need that one. I can do. You got to think in reality, it's not fantasy, reality.
Yep.
Because you do meet a lot of different people that have different ideas. And
And,
you're
and
looking
and you
at them
got
like,
to move on from the ideals that you set in the past.
yeah, yes.
Um,
Yeah, I know
Ideals
we're
are not
rounding,
reality.
yeah, we're rounding back up to that and I always say that, and then I'm gonna have to wrap this up. I always say with the dating and a little redundant when I say think back when we were kids or when you did go on dates. Maybe it's not gonna be exactly like that, but we didn't come in with this expectations. Today,
Mhm.
everything is an expectation. It's almost like they're so set, they're so used to being somewhat in a relationship that when you go out with somebody, they're treating you like you were in that relationship with them forever. And there's no
Right.
growth. I find there's nobody wants to grow. They just want it to be instant connect, instant that. And that's my problem. That's what I find. Nobody wants to have a communication. No one wants to be friends. They just want instant connect, instant sex. Let's go. And then we'll grow from there. Well, I don't know. Not all of us can do that. Some of us want to do it the old way, where you met and you were friends
Right.
and you grew that way. They don't. A lot want it like you're married already. And no, it
Yeah.
scares us. Or like you don't really, and time, right? Time. We're like not ready to invest, you know, when you see these little red flags, as we were saying earlier, you don't want to get involved. Like, if you're seeing that stuff now, I mean, you just give and take. You're kind of like, wow. So we need to fix ourselves. I think a lot of us need to fix ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and know what we want so we know what to ask for. That's how I look at it.
We should have outgrown the fear of missing out a long time ago. And I think that that's a big
Do you
factor.
think a lot of people feel they missed out? Is
That
that what
they've
you?
missed out, they want to make up for lost time,
Oh,
and they're afraid that they're going to miss out if they don't, immediately attach. And, you go from, like having a date to, now your next 6 months is planned. It's
do you think people think there's too many people
it's
out there,
something.
that the choices is too many? Because on the dating sites, it's a misconception that when you're on those dating sites and you've got 70, 150 people looking to date you, you'd be like, oh my God, what, really? So you're not given that. And I tell people, date one, right? You meet somebody, go on a couple dates, 4 or 5, until you say, that's it. Don't round them
Right.
up. Don't round them up. Try to think one date at a time.
Right. Focus on the
that is
now. Focus on
that is very, very prevalent.
that minute.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I've seen it. All right. So we rounded it back up, but we're gonna say goodbye, David. And it was great talking to you. It was great meeting you. And you are
Great
local.
meeting you.
I got your email. I'll also send you, there's a few things going on in the area that I can also say, hey, like I said, the singles event in Winter Garden, you might want to check that out. And
Cool.
whatever, hey,
Appreciate that.
I mean, listen, I have a friend coming up from Fort Myers. I think, she might be someone you can say hello to.
Oh yeah, let's go outside of that
Let me get
15
my
mile
little bow and
radius.
arrow out.
You established.
Excuse me?
So let's go outside of the 15-mile radius that you
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know.
established.
She's gonna be here. She's gonna be in Orlando this week. All right. Well, listen, don't hang up yet. We're gonna stop the recording, and it was great meeting you, David. Thank you.
Great meeting you. Thank you.
All righty.